what is the process like as you're getting prepared for a sermon?
Well, it's a tedious process in and of itself.
Right.
Because it literally starts with consecrating, separating yourself so that you can hear from the Creator. Because before I talk to God's people, I want to talk to God. I want to know exactly what He wants to say, so that I won't be fishing and missing the people that's in front of me. So it's
when you say consecrating, that's a word that a lot of people. Well, I'm gonna speak for myself that I know some of it, but put it in a layman's term when you say consecrating.
Well, set aside your mind, your spirit, your body for the use of God. Because in life we can indulge in a lot of things. Of course, you know, I skate, I do all kinds of stuff. And so when I'm skating, there's oftentimes I'm skating to different type of music, which I enjoy, and I'm not changing. But I have to consecrate from that. I have to get alone with God. I got to read His Word. I got to listen to the Spirit of God so that I can be proper and correct when I speak to God's people. So it's important of consecration that you separate yourself, you meditate. The scripture even says when you meditate day and night, you should be like a tree planted by the rivers of water. So when I'm preaching, I want to be able to be sturdy. I want to be able to be focused and want to be pointed so persons that are listening can get change. Because I'm a preacher that don't like the charm, I come to change. And so consecration is part of that process. And then, of course, reading the text, understanding the text, and put application to the text. That's very, very important. Because if you don't have application to the text, I believe you abort what God intends for us to hear.
I think, man, it's going to be great. I mean, just for me to have access to you in a situation that a lot of people may not have even thought there's an opportunity to create change in this type of dialogue. I think for me, it's really about, you know, when you make that decision to have your relationship with God, your relationship, and I said this earlier, your relationship is completely different than my relationship. You know what I'm saying? But I think a lot of people need to understand it's this part that is always forgotten. When you're talking, you're speaking, right? You're not listening, right? There's two forms, and this is how it was explained to me. There's two forms of prayer. There's the intentional part, and then there's the receiving part, right? So intentions are, okay, God, I want you to do this. God, I love you. God, I appreciate you. God, I need you to do this. God, I need you to do that. God, help me. God, help, da-da-da-da-da. But most people just leave it at that. They don't understand there's a meditation part to hear, to listen. Every single time when Jesus wanted to hear from God, He was always isolated. Always isolated, especially when there was a strenuous task that was asked upon Him.
And prayer is communication. So you can't communicate properly if you never listen. And so we petition God, we ask God for things, but we don't listen for the instruction, because many times God will give us instructions when we listen what He wants to do in our lives. And we get so caught up asking God, but we don't listen to what God has to say.
So even to that point, and this is one of my questions that I had, how do you know as a believer, how do you know as a person, man, my life is a living hell right now. Man, I'm going through so much. Man, I just had death in the family. Man, my car just broke down. Man, I don't got enough money to pay my bills or for me to eat. I don't have situations to take care of my life, my family, my children. But yet, they pray, right? So to that believer, to that person who is praying, what would be your approach to that, to say, stay steadfast and, you know, this is how you listen or hear from God?
Well, it goes back to what you said. The relationship with God is personal. Once you develop and cultivate a relationship with God, you understand that God is sovereign and God is providential, which means that God works from the ending to the beginning. He knows the ending before it starts. So when you're in the hand of God, He orders your steps. And so when you have a personal relationship with God, knowing that whatever you're going through, if God allowed it, it's as if he did it.
Yes.
And so I trust him. If he allowed this to happen, if he allowed that to happen, and he's my God, he's my protector, he's my guider, he's my all in all, then I have faith enough to believe, even when I can't see it, that God's going to be all right with me.
Right.
And so that gives me confidence, but it's personal. Everybody's relationship is not at the same level. So that's why people, they squirm, they go through, because they can't trace God. And sometimes, even myself, I got to trust God when I can't trace him.
Yeah.
When I don't understand what's going on in my life, even as a preacher, even believing God for a long time, when things get tough and storms and valleys come,
Right.
I have to still trust him when I can't trace him.
Man, that's word right there, man. Listen.